Northwestern Chronicles, Episode 35, George and Trevor. George is a steamroller who lives in Surtabenhat's Northwestern Railway. Ever since he was brought onto the railway, he was seen as a lazy and troublesome steamroller, but later changed his ways and became friends with some of the Fat Controller's engines. After a heat wave hit Sodor, George helped other road vehicles to mitigate disaster and befriended Trevor the traction engine, who is much older than George. But ever since, their friendship has waned, and George is assigned more and more work by the day. One hot summer morning, George got more bad news. The Fat Controller had gathered engines from all around the island for an important announcement. Attention, everyone. I have an important announcement to make. With summer now upon us, Sodor is expecting hot weather all around, which means tourists will be arriving soon. I want you all to work extra hard. That includes all the road vehicles, too. We need to show everyone that Sodor is a great place, and the NWR is the best railway. Does that mean less freight, sir? Henry asked with aspiration. Actually, we are expecting a surplus of goods from the mainland to be arriving within the next week, so you can all expect more passenger and goods trains. I know it's going to be hard, but we've all been on Sodor long enough to know practically anything is possible. Next to George sat Bulgy, a bus who worked on the railway. More passengers means more trips around Sodor for me, he said begrudgingly. And more passengers and cargo means smoother roads, agreed George. I wish we could spend more time with our friends. Well, it's not a perfect world, George. I just hope none of these engines start acting weird with all this extra work. That day, George was called to Elsbridge Station. There he saw Trevor, who was struggling to haul a crate full of food. Come on, you traction engine. Pull harder. I'm trying, sir, but it's too heavy. Rubbish, cried the workman. We have work to do. All you do is sit around collecting dust. Trevor remained silent, as did George, when a familiar face stepped in to intervene. Excuse me, sir, but should you really be treating him like that? He's doing his best after all. The workman was stunned. I'll talk to him how I want to, thank you very much. Why do you care? This traction engine is older than both of us combined. Why not show him some respect? Because he just doesn't work like he used to. I'm sure he is trying his best, but his time has passed. He's just too old, and there's no denying that. George was still watching the conversation ensue when his driver reminded him he had to go, but he kept the workman's words in his memory. The next day, George was parked by the yard so he could talk to engines, but there was no one there, as everyone was out pulling trains. George remained bored until a rather slimy diesel engine appeared. Hello, George. Long time no see. Hey, Diesel. What brings you here? Sir Tobenhat requested these aquarium cars be brought to Elsbridge right away, part of some exhibit to attract more tourists. That's nice, I suppose. George was eager to tell someone about the incident he saw at Elsbridge Station. He couldn't help himself. Hey, Diesel, did you hear about what happened at Elsbridge Station? No. What happened? And George told the whole story. Well, this is rather interesting, snickered Diesel. Has anyone else heard? George hesitated. Well, I don't know. My driver told me the story a few minutes ago. Well, don't worry. With a story this good, the whole island will be laughing their socks off. As Diesel oiled away, George felt a little uneasy. Diesel made good on his promise, and from one engine to another, George's story spread like wildfire. It wasn't long before the road vehicles caught wind of the story, as George would soon find out. There was George, Butch, Isabella, and Laurie, all under the viaduct. Hey guys, said George sheepishly. What's going on? You didn't hear? Began Terence. Trevor was having some trouble at Elsbridge, and now everyone knows about it. Oh yeah, I heard about that. George suddenly became uncomfortable. Apparently Diesel heard it from someone and told everyone. Now Trevor won't talk to anybody. Do you know who told Diesel? Asked Butch inquisitively. George felt ashamed. I guess I forgot how small this island is, he said. So it was you. Why did you tell Diesel? Well, it's not necessarily untrue, he responded defensively. Trevor is pretty old. That may be true, but that doesn't mean he's not useful. Pish posh, it's not my fault. Actually, it is, said Butch. You told Diesel, and then Diesel told another engine, and so on and so on. George was silent. Well, I hope you talk to him. We're all supposed to help us fellow road vehicles out. Maybe I'll get around to it, he said, and he slipped away silently. George slept alone under the arched stone bridge that night, feeling rather glum. The next day, George's driver had some important news. Some roads near the docks have to be repaved so that goods can flow through more easily, so Top and Hat wants us at the docks immediately. Of course, sir, replied George. Meanwhile, at Knapford Station, James was getting ready to pull the express. Be careful, James, warned Sir Top and Hat. I want those passengers at Elsbridge at 12 o'clock exactly. Don't worry, sir. I'll get there on time. Very good, James. When the Fat Controller left, the guard's whistle blew, and James departed with the express coaches. Sir Top and Hat's prediction was right, as Elsbridge Station was packed with tourists, eager to explore the island. As passengers eagerly awaited the arrival of the express, Edward passed by with the goods train. But as he passed by the station, one of the flatbeds of his train was left behind. That's no good, said Trevor. That truck is blocking the express line. Trevor decided to take action into his own hands. He built up the strength and pushed the truck off of the track. But there was trouble. I'm stuck! I'm stuck! James's whistle was heard in the distance. As Trevor tugged and tugged, George rolled by and noticed him. George, I'm a little stuck here. Can you help me? George hesitated. Sorry, Trevor, but, I have to get to the docks. I'll ask for help, though. There's no time. The express will be here any second. Oh, fine, replied George. George backed up and managed to push Trevor off of the track. Seconds later, the express roared past and stopped at the station. Thank you, George, said Trevor gratefully. No worries. Sorry for telling Diesel about the incident from yesterday. It's all right, he replied. Besides, I'm fine now. The man from earlier was there. Thank you, George, and you too, Trevor. Without you, who knows what could have happened. I'll put in a good word for you with my father. Oh, so that was Charles Hat, said George. I guess so, laughed Trevor. It's a small island after all. The two friends laughed, eager to return to the road.